Afreen, you've just come out with a piece calling for America to have a more ambitious development finance strategy and turn caution into competition. Can you explain what U.S. development finance is in the first place?
Development finance is the use of state-backed tools like loans, guarantees, equity investment, and political risk insurance to mobilize private investment in developing economies. So in 2018, Congress created the Development Finance Corporation, or the DFC, for the United States to do development finance, and its aims are twofold. One is to help partner countries grow, and the second is to advance U.S. foreign policy objectives.
How do U.S. development finance investments advance foreign policy goals?
I'll give you an example. The U.S. provided a $190 million loan to a U.S.-based company to help build a subsea cable connecting Singapore to the United States. So that, number one, supported a U.S.-based firm, and number two, built out strategic infrastructure in the Indo-Pacific, which is a key region, enabling countries in Southeast Asia to access the internet better.
Afreen, this sounds great. I mean, everyone loves underwater cables, but what's the problem?
So the problem is that the U.S. tends to just spray money everywhere rather than being smart about where and when to use development finance. We should use the DFC to advance U.S. industrial strategy, fusing development and foreign policy to strengthen our own supply chains in critical sectors like digital infrastructure, health security, and critical minerals.
It sounds like the DFC has a lot of promise, but it's not living up to its potential. What's holding it back?
The DFC right now is slowed by redundant and duplicative processes. It's got narrow authorities, its scope is limited, and it has a temporary mandate. What this means in practice is that the DFC spends a lot of its time just sort of navigating bureaucracy and red tape rather than moving quickly to make bold strategic investments around the world. While this is a feature of much of the U.S. government, it doesn't need to be. A lot of the reforms that I propose are just logical fixes that can make this agency reach its full potential.
How do we do that?
So I like to think of solutions along four dimensions: strategy, speed, scope, and scale. We've talked about strategy, anchoring the DFC's work in U.S. industrial priorities. On speed, everyone knows the U.S. bureaucracy is painfully slow, so the United States needs to focus on purpose over process by streamlining due diligence requirements and raising congressional notification thresholds so Congress can focus on larger strategic transactions rather than just everything. On scope, the DFC needs to be allowed to invest in more places with a broader set of tools. And on scale, the DFC's portfolio cap needs to be increased. And then finally, the agency needs to be made permanent. Making it permanent is really important and will send a good signal to investors and foreign partners that the U.S. is reliable over the long term.